Hello! Thank you for clicking onto this video to learn how you can make an impact by sharing your testimony. The Washington Immigrant Solidarity Network's mission is to protect and advance the power of immigrant and refugee communities, centering the voices of impacted communities. The Washington Immigrant Solidarity Network is committed to not only listening to the testimonies of our neighbors and community members, but treating them with the respect that they deserve. Your stories are a gift and should be treated as such, and we are grateful for your leadership and courage to share. Our hope is that by the end of this video, you will feel empowered, comfortable, and confident with sharing your testimony. In this video, we will cover the following: the importance of telling your testimony, how to craft your testimony. We will share a timeline of opportunities where you could provide your testimony, such as in a legislative hearing. We'll review an example of a testimony and ensure you know how to submit your testimony to WISN. When we share our story or testimony, we reclaim who we are. We name and share our values, we educate others, and humanize issues that impact our communities. We empower others to share, and in doing so, we build solidarity and relationships. When we share our story or testimony, we move people to take action. Politicians and community leaders need to hear our voices and our stories. This is a way to show them how powerful we are. Your voice needs to be heard. WISN's campaigns are driven by the needs of our communities, and our communities' testimonies push our legislative priorities forward. Sharing testimonies strengthens and builds our voices across Washington state. So how does WISN do this? WISN hears from communities' needs in order to build our legislative campaigns. Our current campaigns are the Unemployment Insurance for Undocumented Workers bill, which seeks to provide unemployment insurance and benefits to undocumented workers in the state of Washington. Next is the Health Equity for Immigrants campaign, which secured a budget to fund a Medicaid equivalent program that would serve immigrants and refugees of all statuses with incomes below 138% of the federal poverty level. We have made great progress with our current legislative campaigns, and we cannot do that without leaders who share their testimonies in meetings or hearings with legislators. There are a number of places you can share your testimony and speak truth to power. One space is during the legislative session. The legislative session is the period of time when the Washington state's representatives and senators gather for the purpose of lawmaking and allocation of the state's budget. The legislative session occurs every January and lasts until March or April, depending on the year. The 2024 legislative session will begin January 8th and end in March 2024. Throughout the legislative session, we will have several opportunities to share our testimonies. One of those opportunities to share your testimony will be during WISN's annual Immigrant and Refugee Advocacy Day, where immigrant and refugee communities, as well as allies, convene in Olympia for a day of advocacy. On this day, there will be scheduled meetings with your legislators where you'll be able to share your testimony and urge them to take action. During the remainder of the legislative session, there will be several opportunities to share our testimonies with legislators directly. One such opportunity is to speak at a hearing. Hearings allow for discussion on topics that legislators are considering passing or challenging. Hearings are an opportunity for you to share your testimony either in person in Olympia or joining the hearing virtually in order for you to advocate for or against a particular policy and to share why it is important to you. Unfortunately, hearings are scheduled with very little notice based on the availability of legislators. Therefore, we do not get very much notice of when we will have an opportunity to speak. This is why we need your support by submitting your testimony prior to the start of the legislative session, so that we can be ready to respond. If you would like to share your testimony during a hearing, please note that on the form, my story could be the story of many. Lastly, other opportunities to share your testimony are through a variety of campaign actions that Wyson hosts to put pressure on legislators. One way to do this is through the many email campaigns that Wyson and Wyson's partners lead throughout the legislative session. For this action, Wyson will send out action alert emails to activate our network. At this time, you are able to click the associated link, and this will be an opportunity to share your testimony to your representatives and senators through a virtual letter or email. There will also be phone banking opportunities where we will need your support in calling your legislator's office. In the story collection form, you can note if you would like to volunteer to support campaign actions. We've covered why it is important to share our testimonies and learn opportunities we will have to share. But you might be asking yourself, where do I start? Crafting your testimony should not be restrictive. To the right are items to keep in mind, but you are the one who knows your testimony best. So what should I include in my testimony? Make sure that you include a name or alias and your legislative district, a statement of support, sharing your story, connecting your story to your statement of support, making sure you include what you're asking the audience to do, and practice. Practicing will make you feel confident to share. This might seem like a lot of information, but we are going to break this down. You might be asking yourself, how do I figure out what legislative district I live in? Simply type the link in the search bar and you will be directed to the website where you can find your legislative district. Once on the website, you will type your street address. Enter the street, city, state, and zip code. Then click on Find My District. Below, it will show district information, legislative district number, and the number indicated to the right is your legislative district. Now we know how to find our legislative district, but what is the statement of support? The statement of support is you declaring your stance on the initiative. This can be said in the following ways. I am in favor of, or I am in support of, and it can also be an opposition statement such as I am against, because there can be initiatives that do not align with our values. Moving on to composing your story. Remember that no one knows your story or your experience better than you. These are some tips to help you with your thought process. First, discuss how you or someone close to you has been impacted due to the lack of unemployment insurance benefits or lack of access to healthcare services. State why this is an urgent matter and action must be taken. Include how the Unemployment Insurance for Undocumented Workers bill and/or fully funding health equity for immigrants would change or improve your situation. Conclude with your ask. What are we asking our audience to do? You can state, I urge you representatives or senators or legislators to pass the Unemployment Insurance for Undocumented Workers bill and/or fully fund health equity for immigrants so that I or loved ones can have access to unemployment benefits and/or healthcare services. Now, we're going to put all of this together. We'll watch a video submitted by Wyson's Deportation Defense Coordinator. Note how Yahaira mentions the following. Her name and legislative district, her statement of support, includes her story, connects her story to her testimony, includes the ask, and keeps her testimony to 2 minutes. When you testify during hearings, testimonies are on a timer. At most, you will have 2 minutes. When you begin, there will be a green light that will indicate your starting time, and around 30 seconds, you will get a yellow light indicating how much time you have left, and once the light is turned red, then you are out of time.
Hi, my name is Yahaira Padilla, a daughter of undocumented parents living in District 37. I am here today in favor of the Health Equity for Immigrants campaign because everyone should have access to health care. Growing up in a household of undocumented parents, going to the doctor was not a monthly or yearly routine. It was the last stop when some home remedies or all other options had been exhausted. Doctor's visits were always associated with stress and lots of anguish because of the high medical bill we were going to receive after the doctor's visit. My father never went to a yearly physical examination, which could have helped prevent his diabetes. My father was diagnosed with diabetes after an ER visit with a diabetic coma. If my father would have access to health insurance, he could have gone to the doctor and had preventative care visits that would have helped him take action on his health. Now, my father is currently on dialysis because his diabetes is so aggressive, and with the lack of health insurance, his health was paused until his application for charity care was processed to see a nephrologist. My father had to move out of state to be able to get started on dialysis because we could not afford out-of-pocket medical expenses. His treatment is not guaranteed, as his treatment is funded by charity care and state funds. My father is now in lifetime dialysis, but due to his undocumented status, he's not able to get on the list to receive a kidney transplant. Health equity for immigrants will help my father live with terminal kidney failure because it will make him eligible to get on the list to receive a kidney transplant and be able to live a normal life without having to be stuck to a machine.
As we prepare for the 2024 legislative session, we would like to begin to gather and highlight our community's testimonies. If you would like to testify during a legislative hearing, select that option on the story collection form. You can submit your testimony in any of the following formats: a written or typed testimony. You can submit a video recording like the one we have reviewed. A few tips to keep in mind if you would like to submit a video: record in a horizontal or landscape format. Record yourself from your shoulders up, preferably against a plain background, and make sure that you are in a quiet place. If you would not like to be on a video, you can also submit a voice recording. The story collection form is the place for you to submit your testimony in either a written, video, or voice recording format. If you would like your testimony to be featured on WISN's website, select that option on the form. If there are any questions, please utilize the phone number and email indicated on the screen. Thank you for watching this video. To stay up to date and in connection with WISN, make sure to follow our social media platforms.